We good? Welcome everyone to the Oil Drop Podcast. Today is Sunday, January the 7th, 2018. I am James Paul McCartney on Reddit. Okay, and then we have Arun Tick 5 on Reddit with me as well, and Adam Sweet 44722 should be joining momentarily. I guess his computer's updating or something. We're gonna go on without him. So it's the first episode here of 2018. We are pretty much at the halfway point of the Oilers season, and the World Juniors has just finished up. So we're going to start with some Oilers topics here. First and foremost, a couple days ago, there was a minor trade, but for Oilers fans, it was major. We shipped off a fourth-round pick to Montreal in exchange for backup goaltender Al Montoya, and then put our backup goalie, Laurent Brossoit, on waivers, and he has since cleared waivers and has been assigned to the farm team. So, Arun, what do you think about the trade?
What I think about the trade is it's sort of a repairing the old problem kind of situation, where from the very beginning of the season, people were going, Brossoit didn't really show it as a good backup last season, and his performance coming into this season is questionable. Perhaps giving him more playtime as a prospect is what we should be doing, and we should get an actual legitimate backup goaltender in the meantime, and we didn't pick up anyone. And then that sort of bit us in the ass, because Brossoit wasn't great when, what was his name, Talbot got injured. So Montoya is a good pickup, and Montoya's been on and off in terms of having a good season and having a bad season. And even then, so long as he plays like 6 games for the rest of the season, that's good enough for a backup role. And this gives Brossoit some time to get his head back in gear. Like he panics on every shot still. He like the main thing with Brossoit is every other person around him gets agitated and plays, overcompensating for him at times, just because they're like, that weak goal goes in, or like, what was with that rebound or something like that.
I thought that it was weird because at the beginning of the season, I said that it's time for Brossoit to, show what he can actually do.
Yeah.
And I said that in the Oilers subreddit, and a lot of people gave me like some pushback on that, and they said like, well, it's almost like, he's a super young goalie prospect or something. And yeah, he is fairly young, but he's 24. He's going to be 25 before the end of the season.
Oh my God,
so I mean, at least at the backup role level, like, it's time for him to show what he can do.
Exactly.
And expecting 15 or 20 starts out of a 24-year-old goaltender, like, that's not asking the world. That's a pretty reasonable ask, I feel like. So, I'm actually okay with the trade. You kind of touched on it. When Talbot was out, he was acceptable. I think he had a 2 or 3 game stretch on a road trip where he was really good. But it's a backup goalie position. Montoya's been all over the map for his career, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Montoya, at the end of the day, has sort of proven that he can be put into a backup role. If you generally look in his career, the bad performances that he's had has primarily been with teams that have been bad themselves. So I wouldn't know how much of it you can put on Montoya and how much of it is just, the team is bad. But with Montoya, you're not getting a superstar. You're getting a solid backup, and that's what you're getting. It won't be at the level of performance that Talbot's at, maybe slightly lower, but it won't go to the lows that Brossoit got in his run this season.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep that in perspective, because a backup goaltender is
just a backup goaltender.
It's just a backup. It's like us picking up Davidson earlier this season. Like, keep in mind what he is. Don't blow it out of proportion.
He's not a high scoring defenseman. Davidson is a solid 6th, 5th defenseman, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. What were you gonna say before?
Brossoit. Do you think then that the organization is going to start souring and perhaps make trades for better goalie prospects in the future, or Do you think that this is perhaps a failure of the organization to not find the proper goalie prospect and put all the eggs into the basket that was Brossoit? Or do you think there's still time for Brossoit to save it? I know, tough question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a failure on the part of the organization. Goalies are always complete voodoo anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like he tracked well in the AHL for a couple of seasons. He was on the verge of being on the World Junior team 1 year. So I don't really think it. Sometimes, you know, things just don't really pan out. And then as far as goaltending depth in the organization goes, I mean, I don't know. There's Brossoit. There's Nick Ellis. There's that Czech guy, Miroslav Sabota or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And let's see. I'm trying to look it up real quick here because those are the only three off the top of my head.
And Nick Ellis, you could hardly consider a prospect. He's like 27, 28.
Is he that old? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was fairly sure he's older.
Oh, yeah. Stuart Skinner and Dylan Wells as well, of course.
Oh, no, I'm totally wrong about Nick Ellis. I apologize to everyone, our listeners. He's 23 years old. He's younger than Brossoit.
Okay. Well,
although,
you know,
I was
then
surprised they didn't give him a look, or at least
yeah. They called him up though, didn't
they? They called him up as
dressed.
a backup, and he stayed as a backup the entire time.
Yeah, he was dressed. I don't think he actually ever played though.
He didn't play, no. Not even in relief.
And then
he really,
at the junior level,
in that Calgary game, he should have been brought in relief, but that didn't even happen either.
Yeah, no, definitely yes. But yeah, at the junior level, then there's Stuart Skinner, Lethbridge Hurricanes, who are a hot mess this year.
Yeah.
And Dylan Wells for the Peterborough Petes. I don't know how good they are this year, but his stats are not good.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Seems like junior goalies rarely have good stats.
Yeah, unless your name is friggin' Carter Hart or
yeah,
or you know, someone along those lines, you're not gonna really be great in terms of the stats department. But yeah, I sort of agree with you, but I do attribute the fact that the lack of success seen by our goaltenders has to be in one part due to, you know, the organization really not drafting or going to draft the goaltenders. Like if you look in the past couple of years, every goaltender we've been drafting, either 5th, 6th rounder. The highest one we didn't pick out was Brossoit, and that was because we traded off Schmid, which was done when McTavish was GM and was probably his best move that he did, because everyone was just saddened by the fact that Schmid was gone. But then people realized, holy shit, we don't have any defensive prospects here. There's like no one here. And basically we went from nothing, not defensive goaltender. We went nothing on goaltender wise to, okay, we have a possibility for the future. I'm a huge proponent for, you always have to have a good set of prospects available, because one of them might be that hot goaltender that you're looking for. If you look back in history, I can think of only 2 goaltenders off the top of my head in the recent times that have gone on to make an NHL career of it, and that is Carey Price and I think Sergei Bobrovsky. And outside of that, and Vasilevsky, sorry, 3. But outside of that, you know, a lot of them are low rounds, even second rounders. A lot more second rounders are coming into the NHL now. But 3rd round picks, some of them 5th round. But the point being is that you got to keep that stock high, and you got to be willing to replace it when you think it doesn't work out. In my opinion, the organization has been great at doing that, because I look at something like Winnipeg, and Winnipeg at one point in time had something like 2 dynamic goaltending prospects. One of them worked out. The other one didn't, but one of them still worked out.
Mm-hmm. And right? You only need one.
You only need one. Exactly.
Yeah. You don't need 4 great goalies in your system.
Yeah,
you need one.
I think the two of them was I might have the name wrong. I know for sure Hellebuck was one, and then the other one I think it was Hutchinson. Although I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those were like those were top level NHL goaltenders. No, prospects. Excuse me. One of them didn't work out, and that just might happen. But you need to replace that person as soon as it doesn't work out. And if that doesn't happen, then your farm isn't good, because a farm, you know, is one part how well are you developing, and another part how well are you replacing, both in terms of called up and in terms of not working out.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Oilers, they drafted a goalie in 2016 and 2017.
They did. Yeah.
So
Dylan Wells, I think, I don't remember what round he was. Hold on, I'll take a look.
Oh, just a quick note as well. Just a quick note. Bobrovsky, as you mentioned, he was actually not drafted in a high round. He actually wasn't drafted at all.
Never mind. I take it all back about Bobrovsky then.
He was signed as a free agent by Philadelphia, and then they traded him, and they still haven't.
There he is. The prodigal son has arrived. His Windows update is done. We can hear him. We can't see him yet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Adam, otherwise known as Sweet44722, on Holy Shit.
Hi.
All right, so I think we're done with the goaltending topic here. Do you want to continue on, James, with the next topic?
I'm so distracted.
It's been like this for a while. It's just more prominent now that they shaved it.
More prominent. Yeah.
Prominent.
That's one
Let's
way
go
to
with
say
that.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with that. Oh my God.
To be honest,
I'm so distracted.
Today, to be honest.
Okay. Speaking of penalty kill, we're gonna segue into that. Good transition.
Not a smooth transition at all.
Okay, so the 17-18 season has been pretty much lost. I think we're all coming to terms with that. Not going to make the playoffs this year. A major part of that has been the Oilers' success or lack thereof was special teams. PK right now currently ranked 31st out of 31, and power play is 24th out of 31 teams. So the PK is historically bad. We all know that. But going forward here, do you see the Oilers coaches lasting the season, or are they getting canned right away here? What do you guys think?
I'll go first on this one. I don't think all the coaches should go. As much as I hate to say that, it is a unit, and at the end of the day, Todd McClellan is one of the winningest coaches in the NHL in the modern time frame. Since the 94 lockout, he is like third in terms of total wins, next to, I think, just Quenneville and Babcock. And when you look at it in terms of that light and in terms of that success that he's found, obviously there's something positive here, and this might be just a one-off season. But, you know, this has been sort of a theme in past seasons, except at time they do well enough that you forget about the problem. Honest opinion, I think Todd McClellan should stay, and we should look at perhaps a different set of assistant coaches or associate coaches, whatever the terminology might be. Perhaps we bring back Todd Nelson in terms of an associate coach role, where it doesn't work again in the middle of next season. We immediately have a new coach to put in. But I don't think we get rid of him. No.
It's tough. So
Nelson's still coaching the Grand Rapids Griffins, so I don't know if he's going to be available.
It's one of those. Yeah.
No,
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's kind of like, I agree that we should be looking at new assistant and associate coaches, but realistically, McClellan and his crew go as a whole, and the fact that they haven't been fired yet kind of points to the fact that either we want to continue using them all the way through the year, or we want to get rid of them just before the break, like the Penguins did last year, I believe, 2 years ago, I believe. It seems like the team's waiting for something to happen. or the management is waiting for something to happen, and we've already been far past that. Like it's either they're going to wait till the end of the year, or they're going to shit can them and then hope somebody else can take over. But we don't really have anyone else. Like
Exactly.
Todd Nelson was the one brought up, but realistically, we probably burned the bridge with him last year or 2 years ago when we didn't hire him. We had him as an associate coach. It was between him and McClellan. McClellan was the better option. We went with McClellan.
Obviously.
He said he wasn't interested in staying on as an associate, went back to Grand Rapids. And I don't think Jeff Blashill lasts much longer in Detroit, so Todd might be waiting for that one to open up. Right? And then Dale Tippett is more than likely getting fired in Arizona, so he's more like he'll have a few options.
Tippett's not coaching in Arizona.
Sorry, whoever's the coach in Arizona. Can't remember his name.
Dale Tippett got fired in the offseason.
Yeah, sorry.
Tippett's available.
Right. The coach in Arizona, I'd imagine, is staying much longer. So it seems like there'll be a few positions open by the end of the year, potentially the Oilers being one of them. And I don't think Todd comes back to Edmonton unless we offer him way more money than he needs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to sort of touch on your point, I mean, McClellan and his assistant coaches, they went together as a unit from San Jose to Edmonton. Yes, they were together forever in San Jose because for the vast majority of their time there, the team was successful. Mm-hmm. If the team is not successful, then you have to break the band up. There's no other way to really say it because this is a business. They're all adults. I mean, they're perfectly capable of functioning independent of one another. I mean, if the assistants get canned and McClellan stays, like, he's going to have to accept that, and I'm sure that he would. I'm sure that it wouldn't actually be that hard for him to accept that.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought them
making a huge deal that he won't, but
yeah, like he brought them with him from San Jose because he's familiar with them. Maybe they're like personal friends. I don't know, but he'll be fine without them.
One of my main concerns, I think, at this point is, and it's become more apparent to me as I watch, is McClellan's inability to adapt beyond just blending the lines to all hell. It seems like we're getting outcoached a lot more this year. I don't know if that's a thing, but it does seem to be more apparent this year. Like the system isn't changing, despite the fact it's not working. Our breakouts are still the same. Our zone entry is still the same. The power play penalty kill is completely separate from McClellan. But in the middle of a game, when we're getting hemmed in our zone, we're not changing our strategy. We're just kind of trying to fix the lines and see if any chemistry pops up, which is a strategy. But it seems to be the only strategy McClellan employs.
Honestly, in my opinion, for that kind of perspective, I don't agree with you. Because I'm of an opinion that a coach needs to be flexible in terms of what he can and can't do. And simultaneously, on some levels, you can't throw something away because, it didn't work that one time. You need to keep trying it. And that's what he does with some lines where, why is X player playing on the top six? Well, X player has the ability to play on the top six, but, he may have had a bad 1 or 2 games. So coach is going to give him another game and see where it goes from there. And on the flip side, there's like Puljujarvi. Why didn't he get top line minutes with Connor McDavid? But the obvious side to it is Puljujarvi didn't look great earlier in the season, in the preseason, and in the season before that. So there's reason to be tentative. You can't simply in the middle of a game go, "You're on our first line." That's a rushed coaching decision.
But that's what Todd does. You need a level-headed
coaching decision to go forward.
That's what Todd does, though. He mixes the lines continuously. Like Kajula's gone from the first line to the fourth line to the third line in one game. But that's not what I'm talking about. Like line blending is fine. But it seems like strategies maintained throughout the season. Like they haven't changed from game to game or even mid-game, which is if you're getting shut down consistently through 40 minutes of play, are you going to go out and play the same strategy in the third period? No, you're probably going to try to change things up. Whether or not that's the lines or your strategy is debatable. But right now it seems like all Todd does is blend the lines. And I have no issue with that. But the strategies have remained the same since last season. Every team has found out how to play them. And we're just getting shut down and basically going, here, Connor, here's the puck, figure out what to do with it. Like that's where my problem with Todd is lying right now is our strategy, like our breakouts haven't changed, our zone entries haven't changed, our positioning on the offense hasn't changed. We've gone with 2 different face-off plays that I've seen this year, and that's it. Like it seems like our major strategies have not adapted to how teams are playing us, and that's where my issue is stemming from right now. I don't have an issue with the fact that Pugliarvi's gone from like the first line to the third line, or that if Kyra's having a good, like, he rewards players that are having a good game, which is absolutely appropriate. I think that's the way you should be coaching a team. But it just seems like strategically we're being dominated in a lot of games right now, especially against good teams.
Your thoughts, James? Because I don't agree with that. I think that's a lot of recency bias that's going on. But, James?
Well, I look at our record this year, and what's our record against good teams? We beat the Blues pretty badly once. And then we lost to bad teams many times. We beat Vegas somehow. I still don't know how that happened. But
Vegas isn't a good team this year.
Mind you, they had four.
Vegas is a team that is it's like a ragtag group that's putting it together. But the moment that things fall apart, it'll all fall apart.
Well, we're halfway through the season. I mean,
I still think they'll make the playoffs, but I think this is a flash in the pan season.
I'd be okay if they made the playoffs and did really well, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they are leading the Pacific Division. Like,
they are.
They're leading the Western Conference.
Second.
Yeah,
they're second in the league.
They're first in the most covered. They're for this season.
How many games
maybe,
left in the season?
Like 41?
40, yeah.
42 games for them. Yeah. The only team better than them right now, or with more points, if you want to look at it that way, is Tampa Bay.
I'm still going to hold that.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is just unbelievable. So
Tampa Bay is just an unfair team. Honestly, the defensive depth is the only issue in terms of a deep playoff run.
If they stay healthy, they're going to win. Like, I don't think anything beats them this year.
I can't see anyone beating them. They're too good, man.
Well, no, I see some good matchups. But, again, who knows
if the playoffs started today,
playoffs are playoffs.
They would
it's a different monster altogether.
They would play Carolina in the first round if the playoffs started right now.
Carolina. That's a good story. Anyway, bringing it back, I'm going to still hold my opinion that I don't think that Todd McLellan should be fired, and I don't think that he will be fired. Honestly, before Todd McLellan goes, I'd be more looking towards getting rid of Chiarelli, because in some part, the tools that a coach has available is what he has to work with. And when you get rid of his more useful tools and don't exactly replace them with equivalent parts or, side grades, a coach isn't going to find much success. A lot of penalty kill strategies that he's going with and players that he's going with are essentially top six forwards that have a defensive aspect to them, and Letestu.
I think we touched on this last
time. Sometimes
Cassian,
sometimes Pugliarvi, that kind of thing.
When things are going badly, it's usually the coach that gets canned before the GM. So
yeah, that's the GM usually doing that, because the GM has power over the contract, and that's what the GM can do in terms of a last-ditch effort to save the job, which would suck because we would be getting rid of one of the winningest coaches in NHL history.
Yeah, so I don't know.
For me, is like I'm in the same boat. Like, just because I don't like the fact that McLellan is doing the strategy doesn't mean I don't want him as a coach.
Yeah,
I'd much rather fire the assistant associate coaches and keep Todd.
Yeah. Because the way I think of it, because I sorry for interrupting, I will let you get back to it. One of the big issues that I've always brought up with McLellan is that he's never had a deep playoff run. He always gets these President Trophy winning San Jose Sharks teams that are top of the Pacific or top of the Western Conference or top of the entire league, and then they flop out in the first round or they get reverse swept. But what he lacked, and what I saw in that last playoff run that we had with the Oilers, is that the Oilers have an X factor that McLellan didn't have before. Yes, Joe Thornton is fantastic, but when Joe Thornton gets all the pressure, they're like, sometimes Joe Pavelski is able to step up, or sometimes Couture is able to step up, but there lacks that consistency. However, when McDavid is down and that line isn't working, you split up McDavid and Draisaitl, and then boom, you have like two lines that are a constant threat. And that's the way I see it. Is that they lack that X factor, and we have it.
Yeah, going back, I think it's tough because I think, like you mentioned, the GM firing the coach is kind of the last ditch effort to save his job, and it's going to be, because I'm at this point I'm full fire Gia. Like, looking at his track record, looking at this season, you were mentioning, if you don't have the tools, essentially, I think, in my opinion, at least this season, what Gia has done is taken a hammer that McClellan used all last year to nail in boards into a coffee table to smooth it out, and gave him a spoon.
Mm-hmm.
So or the analogy used yesterday was, Chia was given a puzzle box with a few missing pieces that he had to go out and buy, and instead of buying the right pieces, Shirelli's tried to shove pieces that are wrong size, wrong shape, don't belong in the puzzle everywhere, spilled juice all over it, and then
praying
it's going to dump it off
fit.
the next person. Yeah, it's just
losing value in 1-for-1 trades.
That's a big one.
The big trades
really
every
big
offseason.
Like,
we all know which ones they are.
That really can't be overstated, because like the value that prospect brings to the organization in terms of future like trade potential, in terms of not getting that extra piece and lacking that extra piece in terms of drafting it for our future is fuck me, dude.
It's worrying, because I feel like he's going to make a big trade to try to turn things around, or go into next season with a positive attitude, which I think might means end up losing Yamamoto or Puljujarvi, which would be horrifying. And I don't trust him anymore. I don't. Like, if anyone were to get shit canned at the end of the season, I want it to be Shirelli, so that way we can start a new season fresh with a new GM. They can go from there. But whether or not that means McClellan gets fired mid-season, we have a new coach, a new GM going to next year, or T-Mac sticks around, or T-Mac's fired and Shirelli sticks around and gets one more year to take a run at it. At this point, I'm more annoyed that we're ruining a year of Nugent Hopkins playing his best hockey of his career.
Yeah.
We have two centers that are running full tilt. Draisaitl's still on pace for around what he did last year, and we're ruining that by playing like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
And the last season of McDavid's entry-level deal.
And then to add to that, like, his cap management has been putrid. Like, really, like that can't be overemphasized. I mean, the best case, like, we can talk about the big ones, like the big contracts and everything. I mean, but the best case example to bring up is you look at a guy, Benoit Pouliot. He gets bought up by the organization. Now we have left, I think it's 4 years to pay off his contract at half price. But people would look at like, oh, you're freeing up cap space for this season. He doesn't really do anything with that cap space. We still have cap space available. And then what he does is that he buys up Pouliot and doesn't buy out Fane. If he bought up Fane instead of Pouliot, we would still get the same amount of cap relief, albeit like $250,000 less, I think. And that contract that we'd be paying off in terms of buyout penalties or whatnot, I don't know the exact terminology, I apologize for that, would be just for 2 years, not 4.
4 years of Pouliot buyout. Like,
yeah, and Pouliot's putting up points in Buffalo. He's finding success as a top 6 forward. That team is hot garbage, let's be honest here. But that has more to do with the fact that, they don't have a bottom 6, they don't have defensemen, and their goaltending is like wishy-washy at best.
Let's not overstate what Pouliot's doing. I mean, he's got 11 points in 40 games. So he's putting up points, yes, but I mean,
but he could penalty kill.
No, like I mean, I know what you're saying. Like, was bought out a year too early, really.
Yeah.
That is where I'm bringing up the bad cap management. Sorry, James.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So.
That's the big thing now, is that whoever gets the handoff from Shirelli is going to go, well,
I have nothing to work with.
The fuck am I supposed to do with this? It's like, basically, our big hope, and I've mentioned it before, we've all mentioned it before, our big hope at this point with Shirelli's strategy of going with the $10.5 million contract and the $8.5 million for Draisaitl, and then whatever Talbot's going to get, I don't even want to know what that'll be. Like, whatever ends up being, it's going to be draft and develop. Has to be our strategy from here on out.
I'm going to say it's pretty presumptuous to assume that Talbot's even going to sign another contract here.
It's, that's assuming he does, which, I mean, he has twins in the city now. They're going to be 2 by the time the contract comes around. So if he's going to move, this is the time he's going to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, for his family to move.
It's realistically, if he doesn't sign, we get set back 3 years, and then we're in cap hell, and we have no goaltender. We have right now the issue we have. When's the last time we've drafted and developed a good player that wasn't in the top, wasn't in the first round?
Clefbaum.
Clefbaum was first round.
No, he was second round.
Yep. No, he was first round.
2011.
22nd
we got the pick in the Dustin Penner trade.
That's true.
On the
team
man,
right
I thought
now-
you were going to say when's the last time we drafted and developed a goalie, and that would be Dubnyk, but
Yeah. Drew Jarkara was the last one that I can think of, and he's not a top scorer.
Slapashev were 2.
Kara's a useful player. He's not really an impact player, though.
No.
That's the thing, right? Like our best
No,
bets for
even then, having a useful player is better than having nothing.
right.
It is. But I'm just saying, you can get Kara any summer. The free agents.
Davidson is useful. He played really well for a season, but he's again a 6th, 7th defenseman. We need, if we're going to go with the strategy of overpay or pay our prospects or pay our high end players tons of money like the Hawks do, we have to do what the Hawks do and develop and draft properly.
Yeah.
Which
is that's why you get players like what's his name, Alex DeBrincat.
Yeah.
What a
why available.
That was.
Alex DeBrincat.
That guy's got 26 points
Benson.
in 40 games. I mean,
he was available when we picked. He was available.
Tyler Benson was who we went with in the second round that year. No,
Tyler Benson
wrong
still
one.
looks pretty promising, but
we couldn't have picked him. We couldn't have picked him because after Connor McDavid, our next available pick was Caleb Jones, or was he 2016 year?
2016.
Okay, never mind. We picked Benson. Instead of,
I think it was the Reinhardt trade where we would have picked there.
Yeah, so we picked Benson instead of DeBrincat. They were both second-round picks in 2016, but just Benson was before him.
Yeah, and Benson was looking like a surefire pick too, outside of injury problems. But now it's looking like the injury problems are 100% legitimate.
It's reminded me of Alex Hemsky a lot. Really skilled player. Good scorer, great hands, good speed, cannot stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy. He's injured again this season, Hemsky is.
Yep. He's out with concussion right now.
He's probably should just retire at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
He's never been healthy.
I will say, we've been really pessimistic for the last about 20 minutes.
I mean, there's not much to be optimistic for.
I was going to say...
This was supposed to be our big season to have a great shot at the Cup. And now we're headed to cap hell.
I was going to say the positives in this side is that Nugent Hopkins is a player worth $6 million. He's proving that right now.
Oh yes.
Andre Sekera has come back from his ACL surgery and looked far better than I ever could have imagined, which I'm seriously impressed at because I literally just got to the point where I can jump and I'm so happy. I can jump with both feet again and I can land and my knee doesn't explode. I'm like, oh my god, it's been a year. I can do that. He's playing NHL level hockey and playing well. He's not getting out to dry. His speed is a little slow, but not that bad. His passing and breakouts are still fine. Davidson has done his role. McDavid looks like he's on fucking fire again. He's flying everywhere right now. Yeah. It doesn't look like he's skating anymore. Just flying. And Nugent Hopkins has maintained his play.
He slowed down a touch lately. Then again, the entire team has, so I wouldn't put it on.
But he's played well. He's not producing points. But we've got 2 goals in the last 4 games.
He's on.
That's enough optimism. That's enough optimism.
I can't. That's honest. That's all I got. That's all I got. To be honest. That's all I got.
Okay, this is a sad stream. Okay, this podcast is called Sadness.
Sadness. Oh, instead of Tyler Benson, we could have drafted Jordan Kyrou as well. Segue. World Juniors ended. Canada got gold. Sweden got silver. USA got bronze. What were your takeaways from the tournament this year?
Yamamoto was a bit of a no-show. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
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 In terms of an Oilers prospects look, Yamamoto really didn't show up at all. Like, I thought he would have more of an impact considering, yeah, smaller ice, but generally it's more high skill in these kinds of tournaments, especially when you're at the younger age. But he scored in the Denmark game, but I don't think he scored much after that. I don't think he even scored after that.
He got an assist against Canada. I mean, he looked pretty good in the outdoor game against Canada with the puck bouncing everywhere. He had good puck control and good puck pursuit.
Oh, it was good.
He didn't really dominate.
No, not even like dominate. Like that U.S. team as a whole was like held together by what was his guy Middlestad.
Yeah, Casey was unreal.
He was really good. He was MVP of the tournament for sure, and he got it. He got the award.
Yeah,
too.
He was really good. Yeah, he was super good. Yeah, I don't know. I think that winning the group was really beneficial to Canada because the path to the gold medal game was not especially difficult. Mm-hmm. Switzerland and then the Czech Republic, like those are two very winnable games.
Yeah, it could have been the Finns.
You could match up against, yeah.
It could have been the
Czech beat. Czech beat Finland, right?
Finns, yeah.
Yeah. What a story from the Finns there. They were a really strong team coming into it. There was that they had a ridiculously talented top line. The defensemen looked good, if not, respectable. Yeah. Their goaltending sort of flopped, and they matched up against a good goaltender. Would you just put that on a good goaltender? Or do you think that the Finnish hockey system for a second year in a row is seeing bad results, and this might mean less good Finnish players into the future?
No, I think it was really an unbelievable performance by the Czech goaltender. Looking up and down the roster for Finland, impressive. Mm-hmm. Like, really impressive names. Like, they all played well, to my understanding. Like, I don't think it was them failing to deliver. It's just, I guess they did fail to deliver, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's sort of like that Latvia game, except Czech won in the end.
Yeah.
It's so going back to Team Canada at least, because I didn't watch as many games this year. I wasn't able to.
Same.
But the games I did watch, this was easily the most balanced Canadian team I've seen in years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the goaltending was an actual proper first overall, like proper goaltender for the first time in forever. The defense was set all the way through. The forwards were every single forward in the team scored. At least once throughout the tournament.
What was it? Who's the person that's Steenberg? Yeah, Steenberg scored the game-winning goal too.
Yeah, and he was the last one to score
for Team Canada. For him?
Yeah. He was the last one to score for Team Canada. It's like when you have Cale Makar, who went from playing 26 minutes to 7 minutes to 26 minutes to 15 minutes to 25 minutes. It's like he's going from first to the fourth line, but he's still playing 20 minutes a game. It's like the entire team was just great overall. And not each player, single player
includes some players that we all went like should have made the team but didn't, like Nick Suzuki and so on.
Tyler Benson probably could have made the team. Exactly. There was a few options. The team as a whole, I don't think was as strong as like the year McDavid and Nurse and all those players went. But overall, this team was so strong that they couldn't really lose a game. Well, I guess they did technically lose
the U.S., yeah.
In a shootout and outdoor, whatever, fine. I'm not going to put an asterisk on it, but there's an asterisk on that game. Then you see Sweden, and Sweden had the same thing. They were super, super deep. They had Rasmus Dahlin. They were pretty deep.
No,
team.
like you'd go Dahlin, and then there'd be a fall off, and then you'd go Peterson, their top line, and then there's a fall off. Or Patterson, sorry.
But
Patterson, what was his name?
They were
Nylander and someone else. I don't
remember. They were a good enough team. There was the two best teams in the tournament met in the finals. This is how it worked out. Whether or not in my opinion, I think the best team won. From what I heard, it was a good game. I couldn't actually watch it, but it bodes well for Canadian hockey that they're back to playing games and winning games, not losing games that they should be winning. So.
In the famous words of some Star Wars character sometime, the demise of Team Canada Hockey Organization was greatly exaggerated.
Yeah,
Exaggerated.
exaggerated.
Yes. So why I say that is, yeah, we didn't win the 2 years before this year, but we came in second both times. It wasn't as if like we didn't go deep in the tournament. We literally came to one game from winning, and that one game was the last game you could play. So yeah, they lost in the finals in the other 2 years, but Team Canada still boasts the best development system perhaps in the entire world. And yeah, there's a lot of good prospects that are coming in from other nations, but I would argue that that's a lot of high-end prospects that are coming in. Overall, quality is still highest with Canada. And that's what showed in this tournament. Because the best defenseman in this tournament was Darlene, but the best defense in this tournament was from Team Canada. As an example.
So then what do you...
We did get silver 2 years ago.
Yeah, we bottomed out pretty hard a couple of years ago.
Like you said, we got silver 2 years in a row before this, didn't you?
Yeah. Didn't we?
No, we didn't.
We lost in the quarters to Finland, and Kasperi Kapanen went on to score the gold medal winning goal in overtime against Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Finns won the gold medal on home ice, 2016.
Jesus!
So
What
I
did
remember
I
this very
see?
well because I was very upset watching that game.
Okay, I'm totally wrong, but I assure you.
No, your point still stands, though. I mean, Rasmus Dahlin may have been the best defenseman in the tournament, but the best defense was Canada. I mean, numbers 1 through 6, you could scramble them any way you wanted, and they could all be.
Okay.
They could all play. So.
Do we want to move on to the next topic? So usually around this time we make a halfway podcast. Unfortunately, there's a hockey game on in about 17 minutes. So I'll let James come up with the categories, and we'll give some preliminary grades, and we'll actually do a halfway cast, a delayed one, 2 weeks from now, on Sunday the 21st, I think should be the date. Yeah. That's just in the month of January. And
Okay, well,
we'll do that.
yeah, just real-
so I'll
real
let
quick,
James
I guess.
take off.
Yeah, so like we're just gonna go like the ones that I put in the talking points. Do you mean or?
Yeah, sure. Your choice.
Yeah, I mean
Just
best
timing and whatnot.
player so far this year. I mean, it's got to be
McDavid.
It's got to be McDavid.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll be saying that for the next decade.
It's a non-argument there.
Worst player so far.
Should we go? I don't know. We've had a lot of bad players.
I give that to Clefbaum this season. 100% Clefbaum's current performance seems to be entirely based upon like what's been stated, and if it's 100% true. Clefbaum has been injured since the playoffs last year with a nagging shoulder problem that hasn't gone addressed. There was a game or two where he missed in December, where essentially he got cortisone shots in his shoulder to try to get that addressed, but that's a 14-goal scoring defenseman that can't shoot the puck this year, and that's something you're sorely missing. And I wouldn't put him on him anyway, but his performance at the end of the day this season has looked very bad for what was essentially looking like our number one defenseman last year.
I want to say Patrick Maroon.
He's still on pace for a fairly good goal total.
He's playing well, but this year he's gone full retard in a lot of ways. Like he's not playing smart hockey. And even if Patty isn't the smartest guy, you can play smart hockey. You don't have to get suspended for 2 games for throwing a stupid late bad hit on Doughty. You don't have to take penalties for chirping at the referees because you didn't like the call. You hooked them and held them. You don't have to constantly run into goalies and take bad penalties and like he's not playing smart hockey in that aspect. We need Patrick Maroon to be better, and he's playing himself off the team right now. He said he wanted to play with McDavid, all this stuff, and he's playing himself off the team. It's between him or Cassian for me right now, because Cassian's been really, really poor as well.
Cassian was going to be my answer. Yeah, Cassian's just been a non-factor most games. I'd say he's my most disappointing player so far this year. Maybe Larson would be pretty disappointing for me as well. We didn't bring in Larson to put up a ton of points, but he's got 4 points in 34 games, and that's like frankly that's not good enough.
He said he did want to improve his offense, and he hasn't.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, Nugent Hopkins said he would focus less on
joke.
defense and focus more on offense, and it worked out for him. So
Yeah.
Perhaps it's just not in Larson to give.
And then who's your most surprising, James?
In a good way, or well, I
let's
guess
go good way first.
Let's just say it's most surprising overall.
Yeah.
Maybe Nurse. I think Nurse has really stepped forward and demonstrated the ability to play in a top 4 role. At the end of last season, I was skeptical as to whether or not he was going to get there. Like, his skating's always been good, but the intelligence isn't there, and the intelligence is still a work in progress. But I think he's going to get there to be like a top 4 guy. So,
Adam.
Surprising for me, I'll do good and bad. Good probably Nurse or Nuge, I'd say. Not that I didn't expect Nuge to play well. Again, I've always loved the guy as a player, but this year he's been beyond what I expected from him. He's taken on a role where he can put up points, but he's still playing well defensively. And then Darnell Nurse has really stepped up and played good hockey in the absence of Clefbaum. Clefbaum's performance, I should say. He's become our pseudo Clefbaum. He's not producing as much, but he's playing smarter hockey. Yeah. The biggest thing for me, I think, is that he's taking more time with the puck.
He's less liable.
He's absolutely so. Like, when last year, obviously, the biggest thing that comes to mind last year was in the playoffs, him all the time in the world behind the net and then slamming the puck around to Getzlaf, I believe it was, and Getzlaf scored. Yeah. I was just like, why?
That sticks out in my mind even now. Like,
and it was like, why the hell would you like?
Because he panicked. That was basically it too.
But he wasn't even under pressure. Like, it was such a low intelligence play. Oh my god! I just threw my computer through a wall.
And that's why, like, this year, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen him go, there's 2 guys on my way, and
there was 1 or 2 times I've seen that. Not as obvious,
not as prominent, not at the point where like, the fuck are you doing on the ice kind of thing. like it's been a positive, solid year for Darnell, and I'm glad that he's playing well. The only concern now is it's his contract year.
Yep.
Which means he's going to get 6x6 for.
And we're back to disappointment stream, everybody.
Welcome
to the disappointment podcast.
It wasn't take long.
Where we just talked about disappointments, like Benning this season. Benning, in my opinion, like, I knew he would be a pretty, like, give and take defenseman. Like, he wouldn't be great in his own zone, but we could use him as a power play specialist. He could develop into getting more points. If you remember last season, I harped on a lot that Benning's success was greatly overstated because he had the highest offensive zone starts of any player on our team. But that being said, I still felt as though Benning could provide something influential as he developed in his career. But while Nurse went ahead, Benning stayed behind. And he's my biggest surprise this season. Because even if I thought he would at least stay the same, but he's taken a huge step behind. He, at this point in time, on most NHL teams, wouldn't make the team.
He's invisible 90% of the time.
And the time when he does show up, it's because he's turning the puck over.
I'd honestly, mind you, I'm a little bit biased. I'm fully semi-biased here. I like Davidson, but I would start Davidson over Benning at this point, just because I find that Davidson's playing more defensively sound hockey right now than Benning is.
Yeah, but Benning, I don't know. I still prefer offensive defensemen in that capacity.
I forgot Benning was on our team.
That's a difference of philosophies than anything else, so don't worry about that.
Absolutely, yeah. I forgot Benning was on our team for a month. Because I just, like, every time I'd watch him, his name wouldn't come up that often. He wouldn't make many plays. He would go on the ice.
He gets pretty bad minutes this season, too.
Yeah,
actually,
so I mean...
I'm going to find that. Just give me a second here.
It's one of those things where it's... He expected more. And the fact that we're not getting more is disappointing. But, you know, when pretty much all of your defensemen, aside from 1, maybe 2, are underperforming, it's not really ideal.
Yeah. And you add in the fact that one of your defensemen, your better defenseman this season, has been injured, and the other one is playing injured. It's already shitty to start with, but while it provided an opportunity for someone like Nurse to prosper, it also has shown that, what's his name? Everyone complains about him. Russell. Greiba, Benning have all sort of showed themselves as third line defensemen.
Well, I think we've seen the end of Greiba.
At least play second line.
I don't think we'll see Greiba in again.
No.
Russell's been passable by my eye. He's been good enough that we don't need to constantly criticize him this year.
Yeah.
That's not to say he's been good, but he's been passable. He's been a solid third defenseman, third pairing defenseman.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should expect anything more or anything less of him, which is absolutely
his contract
fair.
is not his fault. It sucks, but it's not his fault.
No.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this is the first season on the contract, so after next season, which I think he can maintain his play next season, hopefully, it becomes more bearable because then we're able to give a 10-team trade or as a 10-team trade list, and I imagine he's gone after his third or fourth year here.
Well, the contract's only for 4 years, so I hope he's gone after 4.
Among defensemen that have played at least 20 games this season, I'm just going to go with an arbitrary number. I'm going to go with 15 games this season, so we can cross out Davidson, Greiba, or 22 games this season. Davidson, Greiba, and Sekera can be crossed out. Russell sees a least minutes played.
Really?
By like 3 minutes less than Nurse does.
Per game?
Per game.
Wow. That's surprising. How much is Benning playing?
Benning is, correction. Second last. I didn't actually see Benning there. Benning is worse. Benning's about...
Yeah, that sounds like real life.
Benning is about 20 seconds less than Russell.
That seems
so Russell plays 18:35 a night. Benning plays 18:13 a night.
That seems about right. They're both third pairing defensemen, so... Yeah, it seems like Russell plays more. I guess he's always blocking shots. He's one to play more often, which I guess would lend itself to feeling like he's playing more often. But it's that kind of thing where, if you had 20 Chris Russells with the heart of Chris Russell, it'd be okay. But heart doesn't make a team win.
Mm-hmm.
Heart helps a team go far in the playoffs, let's say, but a heart. Unless your team name is Vegas for some reason, it won't make you the playoffs.
Unless you're the Hart Trophy. That's a little different, but
Anyway, James, do you have any last ratings or anything that you want us to give, or are we ready to watch that?
I think that's going to do it. We'll leave the more in-depth stuff to the next episode, I think.
Yeah.
So today is January the 7th. We're going to sign off here now. It's been James, Paul McCartney, Adam, Sweet44722, and Arun Tick5. You can find us on Reddit, trolling around on the other subreddit.
That's my impression of a troll.
Click like if you like the video. Talk shit about us if you like. We'll be sure to respond. And I think that's going to pretty much do it. Any closing remarks?
Nope. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yep, 2 weeks. All right. See y'all later.